And my name is Daphne. I'm the coordinator at Study Abroad, and I oversee programs in Italy and Latin America. But today I get to really focus on probably my most favorite study abroad program we have in our office, and that's Orvieto. And just a little bit about what we will be talking about today. I have a little bit of a roadmap. I kind of do want to talk about some, introduce ourselves and definitely get to know Orvieto, Italy, some options that you have for spring, but also summer. And I'm very fortunate to be joined today by some wonderful academic advisors that have been very supportive of study abroad in general, but specifically this program. They want to see students go abroad, and they know that Orvieto is a really good opportunity for students from not just the majors they advise for, but for many different majors and minors. And then of course, we'll have some time for questions at the end. I wanted to do some introductions, but this is kind of a challenging one. So I wanted to know name, major, and minors, and favorite Italian dish. And we have Jason here. You said your major was nursing?
Yes.
Do you have a minor, or you don't need to declare?
No, we don't really have time for minors much in nursing.
Totally get it. And then I had kind of just a fun question. Do you have a favorite Italian dish?
I do not, but overall I love Italian food. I just couldn't think of anything off the top of my mind right now.
No worries, I totally put you on the spot because you're the only one here. So does anybody else, any of my colleagues, care to share their favorite Italian dish, your name as well?
Yes, I have a very clear answer to this one. My name is Laura Owen, and I do a variety of things in social and behavioral sciences, but I help with information science majors. And my favorite food, full stop, which is also my favorite Italian food, is gnocchi, which is potato dumplings, which I had for the first time in Italy, and they're amazing, and everyone should eat them all the time.
Thanks for sharing. Anyone else care to share their favorite Italian dish?
I will share too. I'm Mariah. I work with Daphne in the Study Abroad office. I'll talk to you a bit more later, but my favorite dish, I call this the one that got away when it comes to food, because it is the meal that I think about all the time, on how it was just the best thing I've ever eaten in my life. And it was in Italy, actually. When I was studying abroad, I went to Rome, and I was sitting in Piazza Navona, which is a really beautiful area in Rome. And I had a creamed salmon fettuccine. And I did almost like everything but lick the plate. Like, it was so delicious. And it's been many, many years, and I still think about it almost daily. So it's the one that got away.
Thanks, Mariah. Actually, we'll just head to the next screen, since I wanted you to introduce the rest of our crew here today.
Super. Yes, I'll just take it away. I am Mariah, and I'm the curriculum integration manager for the Study Abroad office. So what that really means is that more than anything, we care so much about students and your experience, but we really, really, really want to make sure that the classes that you take abroad count for your degree requirements. And I know that it can be kind of a scary process when you open an application and oh, I have to get all these classes approved. And part of my job is to help get things pre-approved for you. And I work very closely with your advisors. I am a former academic advisor myself. And my role really is to just make this as easy as possible for you, so that your decision to go abroad is an even easier decision, and that you feel really confident and really supported by everyone here at the U of A. And without further ado, I do want to introduce our advising colleagues. We're so lucky to have a whole team of advisors on this presentation with us. So maybe I'll have you introduce yourselves if you don't mind. Sorry to put everyone on the spot, but we're really focusing on communication and the information science department with this specific session. And then just know Orvieto, UofA Orvieto is open to all majors. There is a class for everyone. We intentionally choose the classes to be applicable for general education requirements and really interesting electives, no matter what your major is. So if you're not a communication major or an information science and e-society major, please make sure you, Jason especially, you are welcome here, and we're really glad that you're here with us today. So I will just kind of tag team in Sarah to go first, Sarah and Erica.
Hi, Jason, and just anyone who's kind of listening in on the recording. My name is Sarah Simpson. I'm obviously an academic advisor. I advise for the communication major and minor for students with the last names A through L. And just to kind of piggyback off of what Mariah said is communicate, like the classes that they choose are really intentional. Like we do work with Study Abroad to kind of say these classes are great, but we also think that communication pairs well with anything and everything. So your nursing degree, I think, can be definitely enhanced by just learning any type of communication skill. And then I'll go ahead and pass it off to Erica.
Hi, my name is Erica Hernando. I am the other communication major and minor advisor. I advise for students with last names M through Z.
And Laura, why don't you go ahead? I know you already said hi. I also love gnocchi, so thank you so much for sharing, but I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Hi, I'm Laura, and as I mentioned, I help out with the information science majors. Communication and information science do have a lot of overlap, so we're very natural pairing. Also do advise for the PR or public relations minor, which also sits in the communication department, and there's a lot of very natural overlap with information science and e-society, communication, and PR.
Thank you so much. And I have the contact information, at least the links for our colleagues here today. So if you want to make an appointment or reach them, their advising pages are linked on this slide that I'll send out to anybody interested so that this presentation can be passed along. I wanted to start with just like a quick overview of Italy, because of course, you know, Italy itself, it's such an appealing place to go visit, but especially spend a whole semester studying abroad in Italy is just incredible. And I have a few fun facts just on this slide. So it's officially known as the Italian Republic, Repubblica Italiana. I don't know if that's a close pronunciation, but I only spent like a month in, oh, Kyle made it. I only spent about a month in Italy, so my pronunciation isn't the best, but Italy is about the size of Arizona, but the population, of course, is 60 million, and it's about, you know, 10 times the population of Arizona. So definitely a lot higher population density. We started the presentation talking about, you know, food. You know, of course, Italy is a place where you go to have some of the most incredible food that you can imagine, you know, like pasta and pizza, gelato, just it's of course known for the wine, like some of the best in the world. I remember one of the very first meals, the first time I ever went to Italy was this at this restaurant, and the chef was like just grating fresh truffle onto my pasta dish, which like here would just be something that I couldn't even like afford to eat, right? And it's just was so incredible. And ever since that moment, I remember it so vividly, kind of like Mariah was saying, like the smells, the sights, everything just stuck with me so much. And yeah, it's after that I became obsessed. And these are the kind of experiences that when students study abroad and they talk about, and these like memories light up in your brain, it just, you know, brings a smile to your face. And this is the kind of like experiences that we're all very passionate for students to have, and why we do what we do, right? And then of course sports, like especially soccer in Italy this summer. I don't know if you remember when Italy won the Euro Cup. Do you remember? That was like a huge deal. We actually had students abroad in Italy, and I remember some of them sent me videos of just these celebrations of just like so much happiness and Italian flags and confetti, and just it was such an amazing, incredible moment that students happened to be there at the right, like they were in Florence, and they just were in the middle of this really exciting like historical like event. And of course, like, you know, everybody was looking for a reason to celebrate and a reason to have like these human connections, and soccer and sports is one of those human connections, right? and you can't like not talk about the history and art in Italy. It has the highest UNESCO sites. It's 55, so it's the world's most UNESCO sites, and of course, endless museums and art pieces. You're surrounded, you're living history. It's amazing to be able to learn about, like, the Colosseum here on campus, but if you're like right in front of it and learning about it, it's just a whole different experience. And then this last little fun fact I have, it's every year about over €1 million are thrown into the Trevi Fountain. And in looking into it, I was kind of wondering when I was there standing there, I was like, what happens to all these coins? They actually get like vacuumed up and cleaned up, and they get sent to charity. So it actually goes back to the community, actually to a bunch of different organizations there in Rome. So you're kind of helping the community. But legend goes that if you throw a coin into the Trevi Fountain over your heart, so over your left shoulder, you got to be facing backwards, you'll return to Rome. If you throw two, you'll end up living there. And if you throw three, you end up finding love. So make sure when you make it to Italy, you go and throw your desired amount of coins into the Trevi Fountain, and you know that it's going to a good cause at the end of the day too. And then from here, I'm going to pass it to Mariah, and she can talk about Orvieto.
So thank you, Daphne. That was a really good overview of Italy, and I've thrown my 3 coins in the Trevi Fountain, so we'll see what happens. But I hope that everyone has, these memorable experiences when you go abroad in general. But I think especially something that makes Italy so unique is exactly what Daphne mentioned about living history, and you're going to see these landmarks and these really historical art. Everything about this country and the people there are things that you will remember forever. And I can just personally attest to that. And so, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this session, I did study abroad on UofA Orvieto when I was an undergrad, and I was also a communication major. So and making that decision on studying abroad, because my program had classes for me that I recognized and I knew they satisfied requirements, it made me a lot more confident to go abroad. So we're really glad that, any student that's listening into this recording and our student that's here, if you see classes and hey, I might need this Tier 2 arts requirement, and that makes this even a perfect experience. But of course, on top of that, part of your decision is the location, and Orvieto is a very unique town. And it's very special to, I think, anyone who's been to Orvieto can confidently tell you there's something really special and really charming about Orvieto. It's a hilltop town, and it sits in Umbria, and it is referred to as the green heart of Italy. And I think that's a perfect thing to call it, because it really does feel like that. Orvieto sits on top of a plateau, essentially. So imagine, a whole town, and I always say this, it sounds cheesy, but this is just the perfect way I can think of it. Orvieto just belongs in a snow globe, like one of those perfect little snow globe towns that you would see. So it sits on this plateau, and you have, some historical, this amazing, the Duomo of Orvieto that you see in the photo here, your classes, some iconic things that you'll never forget, like the bell tower, the clock tower, I should say, right in the heart of the city. And it's surrounded by these cliffs because it's on top of the plateau. And so when you look out, you have this amazing, what's the word I'm looking for? You're elevated above all of this amazing, the hills of Umbria, and it's so green. So just geographically, it is beautiful and it's unique in its own way. It is about an hour to an hour and a half from Rome and from Florence. So it's a really mobile town. It's quite easy to travel around throughout Italy from Orvieto, and Orvieto really is like right in the center of Italy. So anything, south of Orvieto or north of Orvieto, you'll be able to travel to by way of train quite easily. There are, it's surrounded by these Etruscan period treasures. You'll see probably some ruins and some ancient tombs and things that are always being, excavated by archaeologists and anthropologists. There's always things that are being discovered and preserved. And it is a Gothic era and Renaissance themed town. So it's got some amazing architecture as well. And just, I want to honestly say, and I know I sound a little cheesy and like love struck by Orvieto, but everything about it is unique. You know, you turn down an alleyway and you're just following your nose because this is it's just the food smells so good and you want to know where it's coming from. And then there's, you know, everyone's individual homes and just the doors in Orvieto are all so different and unique and charming. And there's just a lot to love about just feeling like you're living in Italian culture, because you are. But it's going to be an amazing experience, I promise. And it's also one of the, yay, Jason, you're sold on Orvieto. Thanks for putting that in the chat. I'm really glad to hear that. Where was I just I could talk about Orvieto all day, honestly. But it is one of the centers for Italian art and archaeology. And of course, like we've mentioned several times throughout the session already, the food. So really it has it all. I could talk about this forever, but we should move on. So let's go to the next slide, if you don't mind, Daphne. And we'll just chat about the courses for spring. Daphne, I'll have you take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Mariah. And yeah, we could all chat about Orvieto all day. But the classes, right? So the first two classes we have listed are our classics courses. And we picked them intentionally because, for example, Classics 300 is art in the classical or ideal, is a tier 2 humanities. And then Classics 310, Roman film, is a tier 2 arts. And both of those classes are actually taught by local professors, and they're actually both these really incredible, first of all, human beings. They're amazing. But second, they're actually like really, they're archaeologists by trade. So like you're hearing about these, you know, these things from experts and local individuals. And that's, you know, you go study abroad to learn from local professors. So we actually also include like excursions and workshops and activities as part of your courses. So it's not like you're just sitting in a classroom. You don't go study abroad to sit in a classroom and do what you do here necessarily on campus. We really make use of the location and like your classes really come to life. So that's some of the like really important characteristics and traits of study abroad generally, but specifically Orvieto. And I'm going to skip the comp for now because I want some of our experts to talk about those courses, but I'm going to skip down to the Italian food, wine, and culture class, which is really awesome as well. Who doesn't want to take that class hearing that title, right? Like I want to enroll in that class. It's a really popular class. Generally students just enroll in it because it's an upper division elective. If you're an Italian major or minor, it goes towards your Italian major or minor. If you're food studies major, it also goes towards food studies. So we picked these courses very strategically so that it could appeal to different majors and minors. I'm going to have our comm advisors actually talk. That's the next slide I have. Sarah, if you want to take some of the comm information course.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the courses that we're offering are applicable to multiple programs. So you'll hear just kind of repetitive information. But for the communication major itself, we offer 3 courses that can be utilized in the communication major. Comm 209, which is Intro to Comm Technology, can be utilized as a comm skills or a comm elective. Comm 311 is Comm Technology Theory, which can be utilized as a comm theory or a comm elective. And then Comm 318 is our persuasion course, which can be utilized as a comm theory or comm elective. For any student who's in the communication program, we always ask that students obviously meet with us on what we recommend that they take and what classes would best basically be utilized in their program. So we offer a variety of courses, so not just for our program specifically, but general education courses or electives. So it's just recommended that no matter that we're offering 3 courses for either of our programs, that you just meet with your advisor to determine what's going to be best for you to take. And obviously we want students to take classes that they really want to take as well. So if taking that that food and wine class is what they would want to do because that's something I would want to do. It's about expressing that interest to your advisor and how best to utilize that and kind of make room for that in your plan going abroad.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And I forgot to mention that the comm classes are also taught by a local faculty member as well. So Orvieto is our most popular study abroad program. It's been running for 20 years. So all of these professors have actually been teaching these classes, or at least courses in their field for several years now. And we always get great feedback, and students love their professors. You develop a relationship with your professors, like they're sometimes literally your lifeline abroad. You become like very close as a unit, not just with the students that are in your class, but also your professors and the program staff in country as well. So I wanted to point that out. And I think I also left out the fact that all these classes that we're talking about today are actually U of A direct credit. So every single class that was listed, every class that we're going to be talking about today is you don't have to worry about transferring the credit in at all. It's U of A direct credit. You talk to your academic advisor, see how it fits in your academic plan, and the grade that you get calculates into your GPA. So that's a really awesome feature of Orvieto. We only have actually 2 semester-long programs that offer U of A direct credit. The rest are transfer credits. So we find, and Mariah can also verify this, but we find that students that go abroad generally do really well in classes abroad because the learning is very experiential. You're out, you're doing these activities, you're learning in different locations. It's just so exciting, and students do really, really well generally at study abroad classes. I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. And I think, Sarah, this might be you as well for the communication minor.
Actually, it'll be me. So for the communication minor, so any students pursuing the minor in communication, you can utilize those 3 courses for comm, which is comm 209, comm 311, and comm 318. Comm 209 could either be used as a comm skills or a comm elective. Then comm 311 will be used as a comm elective, and then comm 318 will be used as a comm elective. So when you're going about exploring your classes for this program, please make sure that you reach out to one of your minor advisors, either if it's me or Sarah, to ensure that you are enrolling in the correct courses that you need for your minor, because it does get kind of confusing between comm skills and elective. But we want to make sure that you do understand your requirements for your minor, and then that you are taking the classes that you need in order to complete that minor. So reach out to us with any questions you have. And if you need further approval or anything like that, just reach out to us. We're here to assist you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with PR. What's great about some of those comm classes is that you can also use them in a public relations minor or a PR minor. We have students from all over the university, different majors, who do PR as a minor. We do, of course, also have a lot of communication students who are communication major, PR minor. And what's really great is that you can use comm 209 regardless of what catalog you're in. If you are studying abroad, you can use comm 209 towards your PR minor. And then, of course, there's comm/PR 318 persuasion, which is a PR minor core course. This is a little bit deep dive specific for those communication majors, PR minors, but just want to put the caveat out there that you cannot double dip those courses between your major and minor. They both appear, so that might seem like, ooh, can I double use? So just a little shout out that unfortunately you cannot double use them, but you can choose where to put them, right? Do I want to use them in a comm major? Or do I want to use them in my PR minor, which is really nice. Thanks. I mentioned that I help out with the information science and e-society majors if you're interested in that major or minor program, and declaring it. Danny Downs, whose picture you saw earlier, works with the declared majors, but I help students with the minors. They can help onboard you to e-society if that's something that you're interested in, because e-society and communication do have some fundamental interests in common, as e-society is kind of interested in how people communicate in the online and digital sphere. So, we do have that point of overlap. And so historically, students can use COM 209 and COM 311 in an e-society major or minor. These courses are not traditionally, open to e-society majors, but they're there on the books. So if you are, the exciting thing about this program is that, you can, if you are an e-society major or minor, you can take these classes as an intro core class, or sorry, intro elective class towards your e-society major or minor. Again, if you are a communication minor, cannot double dip these classes with e-society. However, on the next slide, we do note that we do have a special communication and information science and e-society double major. The advantage of being in double major is you can double dip with a double major. So you cannot double dip between a major or a minor, but if you're a communication major out there, it's really good to know that it's very feasible to do a double major in information science and e-society, because it does give you the ability to double dip. And two of the courses that you can double dip are offered in Orvieto, COM 209 and COM 311. So it's definitely something to consider. Not only can you kind of keep up with your program, but you could also consider pursuing a double major.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Just reiterating that, right? The double major gives you the special ability to double dip, but that's it. So it's kind of a special opportunity.
And I wanted to point out too that these departments are so supportive of study abroad too. They COM waives requirements for these classes. So again, I can't stress the importance of talking to your academic advisor enough. Please, they're here to support you. That's why they're here on this presentation with me today. So it's a partnership. You'll be talking to me a lot. You'll be talking to your academic advisor a lot throughout this whole process. But if you have questions about prerequisites and those kinds of things, definitely talk to your academic advisor. But yes, the COM department has waived requirements specifically for these courses taken abroad. And I guess we can move on. Does anybody have anything else to add that maybe we didn't touch on academics before I move on to the logistics on how to apply?
I'm going to just jump in a quick thought I have for any student who maybe just joined us, or if you're watching this recording later, and if you are not in any of the majors that we have specifically talked about, so communication, and the public relations minor and information science and e-society programs, these courses, right, even though you're seeing they satisfy other students' majors and minor requirements, knowing when you go abroad, you're going to pick 4 classes, and Daphne, that's correct, 4 classes in the spring semester. So there are only 3 options that are outside of the communication course offering. So I think every student, planning on this program knows that you'll take at least one of these communication classes. And there are so many skills to kind of be like, just like Daphne mentioned before, communication is so applicable in any career field in every context. And just reiterating what Daphne also mentioned about your professors are really, integrating your whole study abroad experience into the coursework as well. So there's just a lot of personal skills also to be gained. So I just want everyone to feel encouraged. If you like I mentioned before, if we're not specifically saying your major, please know this is very much still for you in every sense, right? Whether the courses are satisfying your requirements or you're taking them for electives, you're benefiting in more than just academic ways. So your personal ways as well. So I hope that that's encouraging. And I also really, really want to thank our amazing advising team that's joined us here today. Advisors are so busy. And so it just means the world to us that we have them in our session today, but also I hope that any student watching here also feels the support. And like Daphne mentioned, these 2 specific departments are huge advocates for study abroad, and we want you to have this experience for so many reasons. So having our advisors here today is just so meaningful to all of us, and of course to students too. So thank you all for your time. And yes, I think the application is definitely an important thing we should definitely move on to. So I'll have you take it away, Daphne. Thanks for letting me jump in.
Anytime, anybody can feel free to jump in at any time. But I also wanted to point out, like Jason, you kind of mentioned that maybe you don't have a lot of time for minors, but look at all these really awesome comm courses that if you do want to pick up a minor in comm or PR, it's like at your disposal, and like you would make pretty good headway if you end up enrolling in these courses in spring. So something to think about. Maybe you hadn't considered comm as a minor. If you're watching this recording, maybe you can, if this is something that you want to do for next spring semester. So just kind of planting the seed a little bit. So about the application. So the application is open and it is going to be due on October 25th. And to apply, you just go to studyabroad.arizona.edu/Orvieto. And the application usually takes, I think students report about an hour and a half, 2 hours max. You can easily finish it in a weekend. So be sure that you and it saves your progress as you go. So that's really great. The requirements, so you just basically have to be second semester freshman and above. We have our GPA requirements set at 2.5. However, we do the study abroad office doesn't believe that GPA is the end all be all if you can study abroad or if you'll be successful abroad. So if this is a concern for you, please reach out to me directly. My email's at the bottom there, and I can speak to you specifically about your situation. But I also wanted to take this moment to mention passports. So you can apply to this program without a passport. However, you will need a passport before you get to Italy, right? So the thing about passport processing times right now is that they're very delayed. Unfortunately, COVID had very wide implications, still having very wide implications on many things. And one of those was passport. So a lot of passport offices closed and processing times are just really delayed. So if you're listening to this presentation and or thinking about going abroad anytime next year, please just get going on that application for your passport, or if you need it renewed. Keep in mind, Italy requires a passport that's valid 6 months after your last day in the country. So just make sure your passport expiration is in anytime next year, basically. Otherwise, you might have to get it renewed. So just keep that in mind. We have a passport office here on campus, right in the Global Center across from the Study Abroad office. You can apply right there on the website. It has the list of requirements that you need and everything to prepare to apply for a passport. So, and then that gives you a good excuse to come and say hi to me or Mariah and chat about Orvieto as much as your heart desires. And again, here's my email address, and I'll send out this presentation to all the advisors to share out to everyone. And I can't talk about Orvieto without talking a little bit about the summer options, because Orvieto is very unique in the summer. It's kind of like the only program that we have of its kind, where in the summertime, faculty that are not teaching, since faculty are typically teaching in the semesters, they kind of all converge on Orvieto and they teach 2 courses. And so in the summertime, you get faculty from the UofA from varied departments, and you can take an art class and a communication class, or Italian and art history, or 2 astronomy classes if you want. So we're still dialing, figuring out the classes for summer 22, but these are some of the departments that have already said that they are intending to participate. So if you go spring and you want to take some astronomy classes and stay for the summer, you can totally do that as well. And if that's something that is of interest to you, just talk to me. There might be some visa stuff that we need to talk about. So, but yeah, we have students that go a semester and sometimes extend in the summer, and that happens pretty frequently, but I wish it would happen more. So the Arizona and Orvieto summer page is also linked there on the presentation. And again, academic advisors can tell you how these classes work towards your degree if you end up doing the summer. The summer applications, similar eligibility, slightly different website, and of course the deadline is until February. So if this is something that you're interested in, you have a little bit more time. But again, the passport situation is still pretty urgent. Make sure you get on that if you don't have it. And I had a couple fun pictures So I mentioned a little bit about how you have like workshops and activities built into the Orvieto program. And this was a chocolate workshop that some students got to, go on, I know. And then we made fresh pasta at this like beautiful like farm in the Tuscan countryside, like just like this organic farm. I mean, these are the things that like you get to experience when you go to Orvieto. They also go sometimes to like an olive oil mill or like a mozzarella farm, and you visit some of the big, like, of course, Rome and Florence and Naples, Pompeii. You go, it's just such an incredible experience. And then actually, I believe this is, oh gosh, it's in southern Italy. The name is escaping me right now. I was just talking to Mariah about it. It's actually Greek ruins, which is, I find fascinating that you can find some of the most beautiful Greek ruins in Italy. So yeah, just some really fun pictures and activities. And I am opening it up to questions. If anybody has any questions at all, please. And this also goes out to my colleagues. If you have any questions about the program that maybe your students might be asking you, please let me know and I can help you out.
Daphne, there is one question in the chat. It's if our passport is expired, we just need to renew it, correct?
Absolutely, yes. So if your passport's expired, but the processing time applies to both new passports and renewals. So definitely make sure that you get on that as soon as possible.
Daphne, how hard is it to extend from spring to summer if students are deciding that they'd like to enroll in summer courses in Orvieto?
It's not too hard, but it takes a little bit of pre-planning. So the Orvieto program was intentionally created to be just right under 90 days. So if you're a US passport holder, you get a tourist visa automatically when you go to Italy for 90 days. So if you don't want to get the student visa to stay longer than that, you just come home after that. But if you want to stay longer, you do have to do some planning in advance. And I help students with the student visa part of things. So it would entail you letting me know that this is something that you might want to do, and you can always get the visa. And then if you change your mind a little bit later, you don't have to stay. But if you want to stay, at least that option is open for you. So like any students that want to go to Italy and maybe even travel in Europe after the Italy program, after Orvieto is done, which a lot of students do, they end up opting to get the visa anyways, just to give them a little bit of flexibility so that they can stay, a couple weeks after and travel to like France or Spain or other Schengen zone countries. So it's easier to plan for it and then not stay than to not plan for it and want to stay.
I do have a question about the summer program because that's the one I'm gonna apply for. So like how time intensive are the classes? Because like I was thinking like I was gonna be like taking the train places and going on little trips on my own.
No, yeah, that's a good question, actually. I mean, of course, the summer program is a little bit, it's definitely shorter. It's a lot shorter, right? So for the semester students, for example, for spring, you're there a whole semester, you have a spring break as well. And for both sessions, spring and summer, generally classes are Monday through Thursday. So typically weekends are free. Every once in a while, there will be planned excursions to Rome or Florence or whatever, and that is part of the actual course content, right? So students, it is part of your grade. So those are built into the course. So there will be some days and some weekends that you might have to that you might not be able to travel on personal trips, but generally it's Monday through Thursday. And then of course, students in the summertime, the program's well under 90 days. So if you want to stay after, students do stay after very, very frequently too. But there will be time for personal travel, and it's really cool. So you see the cliff on the slide, right? On one side of the cliff, there's like almost, it looks like, to me, it reminds me of like a little roller coaster car, and you jump in it. And then you kind of travel down the cliff and it drops you off right at the train station. So you can jump on the train station and head off to Rome or Florence very easily.
So like it does sound interesting to like stay after. So with the housing for student, you just have to move out of that housing that
Yeah,
you're
you
staying in and then.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you want to stay in Orvieto a little longer, you can talk to Ava, who's our program manager there in Italy, and perhaps, you know, work out something. But otherwise, students generally can just get an Airbnb or stay at a hotel, or oftentimes they move to a different part of Italy or a completely different country. So that is something that you would, of course, have to arrange on your own if you ended up doing that. We have like health insurance that's included in the program. So if this is something you're considering, we really recommend that you extend your health insurance just to make sure you're fully covered throughout the duration, even if you stay a little late. And Kyle, thanks for joining us today. You ended up going to Orvieto a few years ago now.
Yeah, that was my third time. I went in 2011, 2012, and 2015, and I was going to go again, but then you all know what happened. So yeah, we think Mariah mentioned to me that Maggie Pitts, one of our other Orvieto communication teachers, might be interested in going back in 22. So we're hoping to get that back going again. You know, as multiple people have said, the comm department's very supportive of study abroad. We want to do everything we can. And just to quickly throw in the faculty perspective from having time for student trips, it's absolutely, there's going to be plenty of time for that. I even had students who flew on weekends. I remember one group of students went to Germany and another group went to England. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that because that's a lot of time in airplanes and whatnot. But if they can go to other countries via plane, you certainly are going to have time to travel all over Italy via train. And I know many of our students did, and I did as well. So it's expected, it's normative, and it's absolutely a part of the experience.
Yeah, thank you so much. I was thinking about, like, if you're a comm or a PR student, like, can you imagine staying in spring, getting 12, you know, these 12 units, 9 of which could be comm, and then an additional potentially 6 in the summer. That's a huge amount of work of credits towards your comm degree. So very exciting opportunity for students.
Yes.
Any other questions? Any other thoughts, advice? Anybody wants to? All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us.